I love your guys' show. Let me boost that a little bit. I love the show because I'm a dad. I love the show because I love movies, and I love well-written movies, especially ones that you can repeatedly watch and always learn something new about.
Welcome to Dad's Talk Film, the show where we take clips from a new movie every episode and talk about how it relates to life, family, relationships, and whatever else comes to our tangent-filled mind. Today, we're going to be doing Logan, but it's a special episode today because we have a guest, Dustin Blanchard. He is
our
the owner of
first
guest owner of True North Martial Arts. I'll let him talk about it a little bit later,'t first we need to get with Sean Marcus to talk about Ryan Reynolds. So Give us the update.
Oh, the update is the same as the last episode. This beautiful hunk of a man has still not contacted us to be on the show. So we will keep waiting. We will wait as long as we have to for your love.
I will say there has been a slight update.
Yes.
But I don't know if it's gone anywhere yet, but we've been contacted by someone we know that works with Ryan Reynolds. So hopefully, Ryan, you've heard from our friend and have just needed to find the spot on your calendar to get with us.
I mean, he's bought a new soccer league. He's having his 4th baby. Congratulations. Your boys can swim. Huh? And
maybe we'll give him a little push. We, picked a Wolverine film before Deadpool, too.
Oh, dang, just burning him.
No, it's a friendly encouragement. He might need more exposure. We're just trying to get Wolverine back into another film, too.
Technically, we could get Wolverine back in this another film because this movie is based in the future. But let's just bring our guest on, though, even though he just talked a little bit. This is Dustin, owner of True North Martial Arts. He's been owner for, you said, 3.5 years. Tell us a little bit about that really quick, and a little bit about yourself.
Oh, man. So started practicing jiu-jitsu about 7 to 8 years ago, really. And I had a really unique opportunity to meet Royce Gracie and ultimately kind of coordinate or work with and train under some of his black belts to kind of transfer from student, long-term practitioner to owner and instructor, help represent the Gracie family, which growing up, I, was running next door to my neighbor's house, to watch UFC 2 was the first one I actually got to see on a pay-per-view. That'll date me.
I remember those days.
Genuine pay-per-views. Yeah, if your neighbor had the pay-per-view on the block.
Oh man, we had the black box. So nobody probably knows what the black box is anymore, but we had the black box, so we were able to watch a bunch of those all the time.
You are a thief. You're stealing money from the hungry mouths of the cable execs.
Right? Dang. But man, you got to train under a legend, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, UFC Hall of Famer. He's still the 3rd. I believe he ranks the 3rd for most submissions in UFC history.
I'm actually 2nd.
You're second.
That's so crazy,
for tapping,
man.
Right? Yeah. For giving, how many times I've been submitted. That was the true kind of no rules era. I think the only rules were no biting and no eye gouging. That was
blasting people in the balls. You could do it.
The guy that did that was in Austin Powers. That guy was an actor. Yeah, there was a well-known match in, I think, UFC 2 or 3 where a guy just...
Yeah,
you mean the little guy?
Bag. Oh, yeah,
you mean Mini-Me? Mini-Me?
No.
That's a different pay-per-view.
Now, Dustin, would you say that I even need classes? Because, look at this. Yeah, I've been training under Mac from Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
I would not mess with Mac, especially his concept of mass. Just gain mass. Yep. Gain mass and they cannot move you. That is so important. With those moves, you absolutely need jiu-jitsu. You will get your ass kicked. You might get your ass kicked for just doing that in front of some people.
So, Dustin, you picked this movie. I want you just to explain the plot a little bit, like a little bit about it all, and then also, like, what was the reason that you picked this specific one for us
Logan.
to dive into?
Yeah, the X-Men, non-X-Men movie. I think that everyone was waiting for when it came out. You know, I was real excited to see Deadpool when it came out because it was kind of that realistic, not realistic, but the violence realism. Yeah, let me back that up. The violence realism, right? It was the rated R movie everyone wanted to see. Is you're unfiltered. They could put the action in the way they wanted to without making it look cheesy or watered down. And Wolverine is that character, right? That you can't have PG-13. My daughter and I like rewatched
blades and stuff. Like, man,
yeah, I mean, just the idea that he does, seep blood out of his hand in this movie when the blades come out. You never really imagine he is cutting himself every time they come in and out.
Yeah,
it's my favorite X-Men movie.
Awesome.
Logan always kind of stuck to my heart, especially since I was already a father when it came out. It hit a lot of strings as far as the difficulty, the struggle. And of course, this is the most depressing X-Men movie I think there is. So if you haven't seen it yet, make sure you've had a good morning, a nice walk, hug your kids, have a positive side.
Don't call your parents, tell them that you love them.
You do love them.
Because might not come out.
Mm-hmm. You might come out with some tears, if it hits any strings, but really you just need to be ready that there isn't a lot of happiness around this movie. There isn't the hero aspect.
Essentially, like, all the mutants are pretty much dead, or like their powers have been gone.
Here's what I want to know. So it took me 3 days to finish watching this because I'd watch it at night and I'd keep falling asleep. And not that it was boring, but I've been out, I wake up at 4 with Sebastian. And so finally by like 10 o'clock, I get some free time and I try to start to watch it. And then I fall asleep because it's 3 hours long.
Just about. I think so.
Yeah. But why? So I probably missed a few things, but why are all of them dead? And why is he dying? Like, why is he not able to? Did they explain that? Did I miss it?
They don't. Listen to and watch TVs in the background throughout the movie. Listen to the headlines when he changes the station or he shuts the radio off in the truck. That's where they're kind of spelling out what happened. And the reference to Professor X having an episode in Westchester at the old X-Men school, they very briefly mention that. He goes, remember what happened in Westchester? What I've pieced together is he had his first, traumatic episode with his brain. And I think he killed the other X-Men who weren't able to survive through that. Logan survived because he can regenerate, but he killed Cyclops. He killed Jean Grey. He killed Rogue. He suffocated all the other X-Men.
Yeah, because time freezes in a sense almost, and they had to fight through. It's affecting not only mutants but people as well that are in that area.
I think that's partially why they're all dead, and the other ones also at this point may have just aged out.
Well, the other thing that happened, and which I didn't really think about the Westchester thing, because I know they just briefly mentioned it. They don't want to go into too much because they just want you to know something traumatic happened. Mm-hmm. But there's the company, I think they're called Transigen or something like that, that's creating all of these new mutants with old mutant DNA stuff. But they also poisoned the food and water supply that affects mutants. So it kind of keeps mutants from coming. So I don't know if the Westchester event sparked this whole thing where they're we need to pollute this stuff so that way we can just not have any more mutants, or if it was just a thing where Transigen research company wanted to create essentially mutant soldiers, which are all these little kids,
but in a controlled fashion. Where they only create the ones that they control. They don't want any more spontaneous ones. But I caught on to that too, that they poison the water to both prevent and possibly kill and eliminate any other, young and upcoming mutants out in the world. And also there is a frequent energy drink sign that pops up all around the movie that there's a commercial for somewhere on the radio that energy drink in particular might be a concentrate. So it's really attractive to kids. It's real attractive to young adults. So that would very quickly saturate the young population of mutants and eliminate them with a popular
Is that the
drink.
same energy drink from Idiocracy?
Yes.
Is that what plants
it's got
crave?
vitamins, right?
Yeah. Yeah. What plants crave.
Yep.
No, but
Sean,
I was going to say it was nice because I didn't pay attention to that. I just thought that I missed what happened to everybody. It's nice that it was a movie that didn't have that cheesy news footage montage explaining everything that happened, or like a voiceover narrating. And then in the year 20, it was kind of nice that then, you got to watch it a few times to kind of pick up on all the clues.
I just need to mention about too, like how brutal this movie is. Like from the start, like Wolverine's just hacking off arms and stuff. I think there's heads and stuff going, and then Laura, X-23, I think is her number. But yeah, she's cool. She has the 2 blades instead of 3, but she actually has 3 because she has like a foot blade that comes out.
Did she have the power to heal? I mean, like Wolverine did, like Logan did?
Yeah, that's really the only power that Wolverine has. It was just his ability to heal, and her ability, since she's copied from him, to heal is really the only power they have. Then you can do things like strip their skeleton, and cover it in adamantium metal, and then put the skin back on and let it heal.
He had bone blades that came out, or bones. He had like extra bones. He could heal up, but he also had the extra bones in his arm, I thought. That's why he has that. And then when Stryker, I think, they take him, and then they cover his whole bones in adamantium.
Did other X-Men have healing powers?
I'm sure there were some that had some, but not like Wolverine.
Because I feel like they
comments below, guys.
Yeah,
I'm sure we're gonna miss
I feel
them.
like they all should have healing powers, because I mean they're out there kicking ass and they're fine. So I mean, like, man, you can't be thrown into a car like that.
No, I don't think many others heal, or if they do, it's a very side.
This movie did take like a cool turn, and they wanted to make it like darker. They wanted to make it gritty with even with Charles Xavier. He's like holding him in a collapsed water tower type thing, just to kind of shield the outside world for when he does have his little
Faraday
seizures.
cage.
But then they also kind of hint at him having sort of like dementia, I think, like because he doesn't like remember Logan at certain times. That's just got to be a crazy tough experience. So I hope I never have to deal with it.
I kind of lived in with my grandmother during a transition, and a lot of us didn't know and weren't able to identify it. We saw this, characteristic change, and it wasn't until quite a while after that we really identified that this is probably a mental deteriorating condition. And it's not just her character changing. She's not just, aging and being Granny Grump. There's a few things that are changing. And there's been a few times now where, I'm speaking with my grandmother and she's asking me how my daughter's doing. And then she'll look at me and say, "Hey, where'd Dustin go, Bill?" And Bill is my father. I just became my father, for the next 10 minutes. And you can't correct it, at least in her condition. It's really hard to just say, "No, I'm Dustin," because that will confuse
Actually,
them.
I've heard that with Alzheimer's, that they say, there's no point in breaking them out of it and say, "No, this is, 2022. It's not 1952. Like, just let them live in that moment.
Kind of an essence of keep you happy more than right.
Two, you're probably just really draining yourself in that process of trying to like reiterate, like, no, this is what things are. You're just going to keep going through the same process over and over. So you might as well just roll with it, because it's probably not going to get better. And you might as well just enjoy the moments, even if it's repeated. Or you can be like Memento and just get tattoos all over your body and create a whole different narrative for yourself and keep living your life. So
Wait a minute. According to this tattoo, I'm not Ryan Reynolds. Damn it!
You forgot again. Oh, man.
But I was kind of curious with this movie. I know it has a lot of fighting and all that stuff going into it. And then you mentioned your daughter likes it. but did you pick this movie a little bit because you're a single father as well and kind of related to that? Or was it just that you just really like this X-Men movie?
When I first saw it, let's see, Sienna was, I think, still 4. It was a movie that I held back tears watching. Mm-hmm. And the second time, it hit hard. Because there were a lot of parallels with it. I'm not an alcoholic or a drug abuser at all. Yeah. But I do understand, the struggles of not wanting to break away. Sienna was pretty openly unplanned. So it was a situation that was very quickly dropped into my lap. And then on top of that, with some struggles her mother went through with, postpartum depression and separation, she's not been, in a lot of her life. So it was very much, I became a dad quickly. I became a single dad quickly. I became single quickly. And then you just realizing how much, no matter the struggle, that you just don't have a choice. It's a real biological thing, and it really doesn't hit you until you hear them, you smell them, you see them. Especially for men, it's very different because we're not carrying it, we're not in the same biology realm. But once they're out, there's a switch that'll flip. The one that if you hear them yawn, and it's so cute, but if you hear them yawn and you're sleeping, you're going to snap up and think, okay, what's wrong? Do I have to protect her? Are they breathing correctly? There's all these things that are going to rush through your head. That's like, I didn't need that stress, but it was so cute. You're like, oh, they're great. Oh, okay, they're fine. Yeah. All right, sit back. And I saw that parallel happen so many times throughout that movie, because the movie does hit a lot of heavy points. They didn't hold back in the writing, whether it's about aging, mental deterioration, parenting situations, substance abuse,
suicide.
Yeah, I forgot about that one almost. But yeah,
because he always carried an adamantium bullet with him.
Yeah, in the film, it shows that he had to develop a bullet, to take himself out. He had to think it out. He had to plan it out. And then he contemplated.
Oh man, I didn't even think about that.
The movie. Yeah, it wasn't just I'm just going to do it this way because I can die. I heal. Man, what's the one way? I have to plan. I have to put effort into it. And ultimately, that's usually what slows people down is the exposure. Someone asks about it. His friend Callahan, brings it up with him a couple of times. I found your bullet. Yep. You realize you're deteriorating. I can see you're more depressed. There's a lot of super deep parallels. Again, I've seen this movie a lot of times, but it took me 4 or 5 times before you picked up on he talked him out of suicide, ultimately to kill himself and sacrifice himself for Logan, who's still contemplating suicide.
Just shows the depths of depression that it's really up to you to be able to conquer through that. You can have all the help you want, but even after that, it's really up to you in the end. I mean, you can have all the support and hopefully that helps. But you got to make those moves yourself.
I want to touch back on, you said after the pregnancy, she suffered postpartum depression. Did she know that she was going through that, or was she unaware of it? Because a lot of people seem like they don't realize that they're going through it.
It was never prescribed that way, but all of the symptoms and everyone I've talked to or counseled about it says that's kind of what it is, is to make a sudden choice for something else fulfilling, something else that's occupying. And typically it's something really good. Once I became a father, I had to change my health. I've always been fairly fit. I've always been in sports, but I wanted to live longer when I had a kid. So I fulfilled my life with more martial arts, with correcting my diet, getting better at cooking good things. And it's ultimately, put me in my most fit condition I've ever been in. And Austin and I used to wrestle in high school. There is no better condition than high school wrestling condition, right, period. But
it's crazy.
But we weren't smart. I wasn't smart back then. I was stupid, irresponsible.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah.
You mean seven Pop-Tarts for breakfast isn't a good breakfast?
I like how Dustin just comes on our show and he's like, yeah, Austin, you were dumb. We're a dumb kid. Like, dang, thanks, man.
Yeah, he didn't say he was dumb, just you.
Just you. Yeah, you see,
Just you.
I changed my direction. No, but no, as an adult, I could refine that a lot more and become, a little more healthy. But yeah, mom didn't have the same avenues.
Like, I'm going to be going through this whole process. And I think talking to you before when you were out here was super nice and brought a lot of awareness for me to be able to pay attention a little bit and know that this could be something, the postpartum depression. Mm-hmm. So I've already had talks with Diana about it, just saying, hey, like we can work through whatever we need to. Just be aware that if you are feeling this way or have certain like depression feelings, that I'm here for you, and then I can help you out the best that I can just to get through that. So I thought it was super helpful for me, for you to talk to me about it. I was just curious, do you have any advice on maybe some signs or some like thing you can notice or advice on going through that for any dads or people with their partners going through it?
I'll speak for the partner first, because that's what I was. There needs to be a spot in the middle. There needs to be a place for your child. There needs to be a place for you. And there still needs to be a place for your partner and that support you're talking about, being there for them. But that also means giving them time to do what they need to be the individual. And you don't have that when you've got a kid. Welcome to the schedule of being a parent. First off, contribute as much as you can. Be open, just as you described. Be very open with your partner about that you're there for them, and make the time for them. Talk. You better be there.
I will say this about postpartum and like a sign, because I had a friend kind of go through it. If there's a disconnect, because it is impossible to not want to hold your baby all the time. And if you notice that, let's say Diana is just like, no, you take them. No, if she's quick to like be separated from the baby, that could be like a small sign of like, hey, kind of keep an eye on, because like all you want to do is hold that baby. It's impossible not to. So if you see that, maybe kind of keep an eye.
Yeah, isolation is a big sign. When things became very intense and I realized very quickly what was happening, she didn't come home with her for, I think, it was over a week. I think it was 8 days. And then quickly followed by, she didn't see her again for, a following week, I think.
Wow.
So yeah, there's these extreme highs and lows, and ultimately the core word in whether it's, postpartum depression or, suicide depression is still depression.
Yeah.
So yeah, those patterns, like Jean-Marcus mentioned, of, you're doing something very opposite of the typical behavior. They might not even seem distressed, but just kind of, yeah, here, you hold the baby, or I need to go lay down, and that's okay. Let them take a nap. But if it becomes such a frequent thing of separation, when, yeah, like I said, I'm almost 10 years in, there's not a time you don't want to hold your baby,
Yeah.
Even with the stinkiest of diapers.
Yeah. The worst sour.
Yeah.
Oh man, I gotta look forward to all that.
Yeah, that was so cute.
I think all that's really awesome, and I think too, applying that to yourself as well, just because it might not be your wife or partner. It's just like paying attention to each other, because it's a huge life change. Diana and I were on a walk last night. Oh man, I kind of got a little bit sad. Honestly, it's not that I'm sad that we're having a baby. I'm super excited about that, but I had this weird thought last night. I go, man, this is kind of like the end of just us. And There's not many things in life that have a definitive date. So even for us, like marriage and all that stuff, it all feels like it just kind of rolled through. Like we already lived together. So, if we didn't live together, maybe it might have felt more impactful, because now it's a big shift into that. A baby, there's a date. Like, it's going to be around that date, and you can prepare as much as you want, but once that baby hits this world, it's bam, you're a parent now. And it's no longer just you and your partner. It's you, your partner, and a baby. and it just won't go back. And it was kind of a weird, sad moment for me because like Diana and I have been doing really awesome in our relationship lately and over the last year. Because we hit rough patches. We've been together for 10 years and all that. And it's just been really awesome. So it's like, I'm just trying to cherish all these moments again. It's just kind of scary and weird that there's going to be a day that it just shifts. And it's, I don't know, it's kind of hard for me to explain, but it's just like there's a definitive date that a life event is going to happen and it's going to change your life and your relationship completely.
Well, Stacy and I say stuff like that all the time. Like, remember when we could just pick up and just go on a trip or something and like not have to worry about, because her boys would be at her ex or something. Or, remember when we could like lay in bed and just have the TV cranked up and like watch movies? You can't do that anymore,
right?
And there'll be that time when you turn 2 where you're wondering, oh, I can't wait until I can do that again. When they move out, or they graduate, you're still always going to have some attentiveness to them, but there'll be a time where it eases up again.
But you'll also have those moments where you're like holding her and you're like, can you believe 9 months ago or whatever, we didn't have this baby? Like, you're not going to want to go back to those days, even though it was carefree and like easygoing. You're not going to want to go back.
Yeah, like I said, I'm excited and I wouldn't change it at all. It was just a strange moment of realizing that like there's a definitive moment that it's going to make a huge shift, and there's not much in life I feel like that does that. So,
well, it's kind of equivalent to, when you're single versus in a serious relationship. Like, if you transitioned easily into being committed and being married, I think you'll transition easily into being a dad and like not having that carefree lifestyle like you do as a single man.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you set a model life already. I really don't think it's a difficult transition if you just know that it's up to you, no matter what you're doing, to stay active. And you can very likely do all of the same things that you and Diana already do together. It's just going to be a little different on someone else's schedule, maybe 2 or 3 other people's schedule, not just your kids' availability or obligations with school, but who's watching them. Again, regardless of what position you're in, single or not, want to do something with your partner or not, you just have to make it work. You're going to make it work. That's that draw. You have the kids, so there's no other obligation. You're going to make it work.
That's a good point, though. Even how that like relates into the movie too is Logan didn't know he had a kid. And this kid just gets kind of thrown into his life, and now he has this responsibility, even though he wants to get rid of her and just move on with his own life. He's like, she's always there, and he's always like, come on, let's go do this stuff. And then, so I think that was another correlation I could see. Well, just from what we're talking about, but then also you said that your daughter wasn't necessarily planned. And so that was just thrown into your life as well. So I could see how also you probably related on a level there with Logan.
So Dustin, let me ask a personal question, and we can cut this out if you don't feel like answering it. Since she wasn't planned, was there, and it'd be, easy to understand why, but was there a little bit of resentment when she was born? Like, man, my life is completely different now.
I did have kind of a denial period where, this can't happen now. I'm not ready. We had discussed if this had happened, it wasn't going to be a part of our plan. And I'm sorry if anyone out there, regardless of how you feel, but there had already been that discussion of, hey, if something happens, we're not prepared. So when it did happen, it was a little one-sided, where she said, nope, this is the new plan.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay. Well, and I was very accepting of it, but that's also what, over time got between us and ultimately our own separation. Just had to do with, this is what we discussed. This is our plan, and plans don't ever need to be concrete. You should be able to bend and go with the flow, roll with the punches, whatever it is. But that did feel very undermining to me. But I was resentful of just realizing maybe how little control I feel like I'm going to have. So just knowing I still had control of my life was something I had to relearn having a kid. A kid initially felt like stopped me from doing everything.
The fact that you've been writing those feelings down and journaling that so that when she's of that age, that she can process all of those feelings and moments, I think that's going to be huge for her development as an adult. So good on you for there. So on a lighter note, because this episode's been pretty heavy, I want to talk about some funny moments in the movie. And the one that stuck out to me is I just wish that directors would stick to their superhero strengths and like keep it at that scale. Cause like, she's like slicing through everything with her blades, but then like, Logan's stuck on that tree root and she's just like, this rotted out tree root is so tough to cut through. It's like, can you just find that level of scale and be like, boom.
She's like straight up cutting people's heads off and stuff,
yeah,
and like throwing them at her at the people, like bam. But this like little bit of wood is just like, it's a knot on the wood. Knots are hard to cut through.
I've cut a few trees down,
but with an adamantium blade,
arms break so easily. That is something I will say from my professional point of view. Limbs break much easier than people think, as long as you know how to apply the leverage.
Yeah.
That's very different than cutting through it with a blade. That should drop through just about anything. Since I love movies so much and their weird details, consistency is kind of a hard thing to like not focus on sometimes. Where I want to know if she's not really a superhero herself. Where did she learn to be a ninja?
She went to your classes.
Well, I don't teach that stuff. Well, I teach some of it, but man, she's an absolute just gymnast.
What was your favorite lighthearted moment in the movie?
Man, do I have a favorite lighthearted moment?
I don't know. It was a pretty gritty, down and dirty movie.
I don't know if I have a lighthearted moment, but I did just enjoy like the brutalness of it. It's like what you wanted in a superhero movie or an X-Men movie. You wanted to see Wolverine just go crazy with things, just chopping limbs off. And the fight sequences are like always awesome in this whole thing. The freezing of time and watching him struggle through that to get to Professor X. And that was one of my favorite things too, is he's like in the hallway and he's got his blades out and he's just trying to get through Charles' seizure thing, and he's just killing people on his way through. And then they're just like stuck like that because everybody's frozen, but he's just slowly moving through it. Those guys like can see it coming and can't even react because they're not strong enough.
The guy's eyes are trying to look at it coming, like, no.
Yeah. But I don't think I have a lighthearted moment, but I really enjoyed like all the action and the brutality of it. Mostly just limbs getting cut off. I mean, that just made me happy inside.
Dustin, what's your favorite part?
I think the Quickie Mart. When they're at the Quickie Mart, before he's even found out he's biologically her father, is when you see the first dad sign. She's on the horse, right? And she's about to cut that thing open because it stopped. And he runs up and says, "No," puts a quarter in. "I'll be right back." Right? And then following that, she's, opening a Coke, eating chips, walking around the store. So the guy stops her. And again, she's about to cut that clerk store guy open. And he just grabs her hand and just, "No, that's bad." But just, he's trying to piece together, like, what do you do? Because that's exactly all he's done, the whole movie. But he has that dad aspect of like, you have to set a good example. I think that's the first lighthearted thing you see from Logan in almost any of his movies. But I always saw that as like, that's when he clicked his dad. And this is another parallel for me. Not that I've ever had my daughter in direct danger, but I view danger very differently. I have this dad protective nature. So when he, clicks and jacks himself up with the juice and commits to, I'm going to go absolute berserker mode to save not just her, but all those kids.
full dad mode.
Full dad mode. That is, yeah. Forget the Jews. Forget he's a mutant. If you were just a father, like, you will feel that at some point in your life. You know, like, you were just going to commit, and if you had to punch a car, you know, to stop it coming at your kid, you would.
So I think we're at my favorite part of the show where we rate the movie.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I've got an idea. In true Logan form, how long would your lamb chops be if this was the rating of the movie? Would it just be a little sideburn? Or is it going full-blown burly lamb chop? Dustin, we'll start with you.
I'm going to go almost connected Wolverine chops. Because this is the Wolverine everyone wanted to see. It's one I wanted to see.
I think I'm going to go... I mean, I already kind of have everything going down the side anyway. I never grow them out. I don't think I can grow anything here. So I'm going to just have to go as much as I can under here with like the underside here.
Yeah, I'm going to go all the way to here. Like, boom. That's where my lamb chops are going.
It's got the clean landing strip.
Yeah, but just clean right here.
Blast out all your information again that you want people to know, Dustin, about your business and all that, and then we'll wrap up the show here.
We teach confidence, self-defense, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, True North Martial Arts in Tacoma, Washington here. Check out our website. It's truenorthtacoma.com. Facebook, True North Tacoma. Instagram at True North Tacoma. Love to have you come in, try a free class. I really like to encourage police officers to go train on your own, especially learning nonviolent tactics. We're a big supporter of them. We're partnering with them. And if you get a chance, adoptacopbjj.org as well.
We will put all that information down below.
And thanks for being our first guest.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited. Like I love watching you guys mingle. So hopefully get to see you guys mingle with other guests because it's weird watching myself.
Well, thanks for being on the show. And thanks for all of you guys watching. Hit up the social media, hit the Patreon, hit the Venmo. And that's it for the show. And until next time, peace.
See you guys.
Thank you guys.